What's up, my good people? Welcome to the CJ Moneyway show. Today, I have the men and women trying to bring back Steel Town Records. Hey, today I got my man Kenneth Joseph on here and his team, and they're going to explain to you guys the things that they're looking for. They got some hot things going on for the record label to try to rebirth the Steel Town Records. And so we're going to hear from them today. I'm excited. I hope you guys be excited too. Hey, what's up, Ken?
Hey, what's going on, young man? How are you?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Finding a glass of wine, 1775 bottle of Ken. Would you like some?
How you all doing today?
Fine, man.
Doing good, doing good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. So, Ken, tell us about your vision, man. This vision that you have for Steel Town Records. And actually, before I get there, let's talk about who was the actual founder of Steel Town Records.
Gordon Keefe was. Gordon Keefe, aka Mr. William Adams, was the founder. Yes, and it was pretty much created by 5 men. But Mr. Gordon Keefe actually being the solid founder. You had a Ludi Washington, you had a Ben Brown, a Maurice Rodgers, a Willie Spencer, and a Gordon Keefe. But obviously it was Mr. Keefe who was the founder because it was registered. I mean, it was set, Steel Town was actually at 1025 Taney Street in Gary, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I stayed on Taney Street too. That's over there on the west side, right?
Well, yeah. Well, why you
we
there?
stayed on Taney Street when I was younger. So
you may know my cousin
So
Cassandra.
Mr. Keefe was the founder. So I guess my next question is, since this is what we're talking about, who actually founded the Jackson 5?
Gordon Keefe.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he was their manager too?
Well, you had like different roles. Ben Brown, to my understanding, was like the president. When Mr. Keefe couldn't take them around, Ben Brown pretty much acted as that role while Mr. Gordon Keefe was working in the steel mill.
Okay. So, we was talking, man, and you said that Mr. Keefe had a vision, as far as back then, and that you can see this vision now of what he was saying that Steel Town Records could be. So tell us a little bit about this vision that you was talking about, man.
Well, as far as with his music career, what he wanted was, he had a passion, according to Mr. Gordon Keefe, for young talent. That's what his passion was. And it was like Steel Town was created in inspirations of Motown records. Back then that Motown was actually the thing for every black man, right? And that's where they copied it from. So that was the vision, and from that, Steel Town at that time was, according to Mr. Keefe, for what he shared with me, was a label that brought talent to the label as a front. Like you had, like Mr. Keefe had his acts. One of the acts was the Jackson 5, and another group called the Rivers and Waves plus Michael, another group that the world mistaken for the Jackson 5. Then he had, you had other, Ludi Washington had their groups, Mr. Maurice Rodgers had their groups and so forth, and they brought people to the label to record, write material, and stuff like that. He created, out of the 5, there were 3 men, and the vision was to get their stuff published also at Steel Town. Was Mr. Ben. And the publishing was called Ben Mo Keefe Publishing. So Ben for Benjamin, Mo for Maurice Rodgers, and Keefe for Mr. Gordon Keefe. Ben Mo Keefe Publishing was formed along with that to promote raw talent in Gary, apparently to be almost similar in the style of a Motown. That was their direction then. This is before they actually signed the Jackson 5.
So I see you got a pretty good team here, man. You want to introduce your team and what everybody role is?
I think I'll let each one do that better, because one can do it better than themselves as the individual. Okay, team, you can go and introduce yourself.
Let's start with you, Bonita.
Hi, I'm Bonita. I'm the secretary. I really have dual roles. So I do contracts and I also help with the marketing part as well as um, I can say probably I did just everything. I'm just into everything with them as far as like I said, marketing, the secretary, the contract writing.
Okay. Yeah, I picked Bonita because I spoke with her and Ken last week on the phone, so I kind of like I
Yes,
kind of like knew
yes.
her voice. So what's up with you, G man? What's your part in this, Britt?
Um, Pardon me. So gonna be playing Eddie Silvers, the guy that wrote one of the songs that they performed in Jackson 5 called Big Boy. Um, yeah, so that's a little bit about what I'll be doing in the production.
Okay. What's up with you, Merv?
Oh, shoot, that's easy. I do a lot of things. If it's not tech, right, it's financial, right, making sure, right, that operations is going through, and then also vice president. So I'm just more task orientated towards the operation flow
Okay.
of the project.
Miss
Yeah,
Austin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what role you play in all of this?
Yes, sir. So I pretty much come on as a like an admin. Ken and I was working on another project, and he, told me about his vision, and I seen some of the things he did, and I pretty much helped to get everything organized, help with admin work, and anything else he need me to do, I'm here. I also have a little history in some film production. So as we go further along with casting and producing the film, I'll have my hands in helping with that as well.
Okay, okay, sound good. Mr. Lennon, I ain't get a
oh,
chance to meet you. How you doing, man?
okay, I'm good. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Okay, we finally got it rolling. I had to go to my laptop, but it's all good. Yeah, man. Excuse me. I want to first of all thank everybody for giving me the moral support I needed. I had to go out of town to Louisiana last week for a funeral. My grandmother's 94-year-old cousin Claude passed, and not only did I go to pay my respect, but I was one of the pallbearers. So I
Mm,
felt compelled to do that. And so I let everybody know in advance what had happened and that I was going to be out of pocket for a minute. But I got back a few days ago and I needed to kind of, unwind and catch my breath. So I got the message from Ken about the conference today. So I got the information and here I am. But my role is that of a, researcher. And Kenneth will tell you, we've been doing this, but a little over a year now, Ken?
Yeah, hardly doing it.
You know,
Yes, absolutely. FBI style. Go ahead,
well,
Lynn.
it's just a matter of trying to connect the dots and everything. And I feel a project like this is really important because you got to help people connect the dots and see what Gary was like back in the day. I've seen documentaries. I've seen we saw the miniseries that they did in 1992, I think it was. And but you know this project here, Steel Town and Motown, we're really focused in on what was happening with Mr. Gordon Keith. And Mr. Gordon Keith,
mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I haven't seen him in any of the documentaries that were done when he was alive, and all that kind of stuff. So his story needs to be told. And, the significant role that he played, with the forming of the Jackson Five, and the fact that Steeltown is the one who gave them a break before Motown,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's important. But I'm here to do, what I can to help move this project forward. I'll land my plane there.
Yeah, let me also add that we also are working on getting merchandise sold. I also do help with part of the marketing with getting some of the still shots and photos we need because that's a major part with us trying to get funding to push the project.
We'll be right back.
Don't miss out on CJ Moneyway's book, Both Eyes Open and Both Eyes Shut. And get ready to pre-order his upcoming release, The Issues of Life, coming soon. Moneyway, aiming to inspire.
Okay. Now, I don't know who this question would be for, but I was talking to Ken, and so on my podcast, I did like a little intro, or what you call it, mid-roll, or I think I got it in the mid-roll, to promote you guys, Steel Town Records, the rebirth, or however, you want to say it. But if you have anything, Bonita or Miss, or any one of you guys, anything that you have recorded that you might want to use, I can put it on there, man, and try to help you promote it as best as I can. That's my reasoning for being here. That's the reason that I was happy Ken asked me to do this with you guys. I'm excited about, Steel Town Records, because actually I didn't know about Steel Town Records until Ken brought it up to me. Then I started Googling and I searched it up myself. And so I guess this can be to anybody. This question can be to anybody. So why start up Steel Town Records now? What's the reason, or what's behind why you guys want to do it now?
One of the main reasons why I started up now is because Mr. Gordon Keefe left this world not having his legacy, not getting his legacy told, shared, or reaching his goals, all of the above, along with never been told secrets to the reason and how the Jacksons got to where they were at that time. That's one of the main reasons. There's other people involved, Mr. Gordon Keefe and others, like the other four men that are no longer here, and just like Raynard Jones, the teenager that really molded him. I consider him as the manufacturer, because without Raynard Jones, there would not have been no Jackson 5, period. So that's one of the main reasons why, because I don't think it's fair to the people that, everyone has allowed the Jacksons into their lives, right? And they did inspirational things, and they touched us. They did great things, but everything should be included. And I do understand that certain things, in order to make it to the top, right, you have to leave some of the weight off the boat so you won't sink. But especially if you were so to come, you would come back, you wouldn't forget them, right? Then it should be done. The whole thing, it was set on promotions and fairy tales about how it all started. So that's one of the main reasons why I believe that was still time to be rebirthed, and it wasn't completed. Mr. Gordon Keefe's legacy, it didn't reach is goal. Still Town died out, I think, in 1971. It was created between 64, 65, something like that. 63, 64, and it died out in 1971. And that was the actual time when the Jacksons was actually being molded in Raynard Jones' basement. The same time Steel Town was being made by these 5 men, brilliant men, right? It was on the other side of town was the Jackson being molded in shape. Because when you think about that, right? What I look at that as this. Let's say every last one of us had car dealerships, except for the podcaster, right? The podcaster is the manufacturer, right? They make the cars. They make all kinds of cars. So each one of us, right, have a Cadillac dealership or a Chevy dealership back in the 50s, 60s, or whatever. There's the customers that comes to order and see these cars on our displays. So that's how we make these. Well, we don't make them. That's how we order for the cars to be made. And when the cars are made with the podcaster, he makes all the orders, all the cars, and he ships them to each one of us. And from there, we're able to show our brilliant cars, all calibers of cars, at our dealership, right? And then with that, people can buy. Again, without manufacturers, you wouldn't have these brilliant cars. So that's how it was with Raynard Jones. And Steel Town, from Steel Town to Motown, the series tells the untold stories that'll blow everyone's mind. It's even what Hollywood either knows or don't want to use, right? Or they don't care to use because they know it unravels. When you think of Steel Town Records, it goes back to the very beginning. When you think of Jackson 5, it goes back to the very beginning. anything before anything was evolved with Steel Town. And that was never told. So that's why I think we think that Steel Town needs to be revamped, rebirthed in all kinds of ways, from the music side to the motion picture side. It can be a conglomerate story that can go on for like about 2 years. So, Mr. Keith just constantly telling all these stories. Also with Mr. Maurice Rodgers, we never mentioned him. He was a last man standing with Steel Town Records. He's still alive to this day. He's just made 80. We've had a chance to interview him. We've had a brilliant conversation. We talked to him, like the first time was like 2 hours and 30 minutes, and the next time was like 5 hours. Just getting information out of him. We learned a lot of great things with him. And he's very young, spirited, and just like he never left. His memory is fresh, and he took us right back to that time, and that was a great experience. The team can tell you themselves, that moment. So yeah, that's why we believe strongly it should, and that's something the world needs to know.
Mm-hmm. So before I ask you guys about this, so during these conversations with Ben Brown and Mr. Keith and all them, did any of them know that when the Jackson 5 was first formed, that Michael Jackson would be who he was?
Yes, Mr. Gordon Keith was the one that stated that story. Matter of fact, you could see it on YouTube. I posted some of the stuff on there called Steel Town Untold Stories of the Jackson 5. You can see it there. And he talks about that. He talks about, it's something about when he went there, when he first went there, how he saw Michael and he just knew Michael. Michael just stood out, according to Mr. Keith, from when he first saw him. And he said the way how Michael leaped over to grab or fix a microphone card, the way he did it, he knew that he had to have picked Michael. And he said Michael was the reason why he picked the Jackson 5. So Mr. Keith would be the one, according to Mr. Keith. Mr. Maurice Rodgers didn't really too much speak on that, because at that time, when the Jacksons was actually signed to Steel Town, Mr. Maurice had already left for California, according to what he shared with us. So, again, Steel Town was created between 63, 64, 63, after Mr. Gordon Keith came out of the military, and he got back with all his guys, and that's when they put it together around that time. Mr. Maurice left around like 63, 65 estimated, according to him. Yeah. But so it was Mr. Keith. He just knew that Michael would be the one. Just like everyone that Michael interacted with, they just knew that he would be the one. They just knew that he would be, he was an old man in a little boy's body. They just knew that he could sing the song, better than him. And it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the legend of Michael Jackson lives on, man. Just last week, my mother had her 70th birthday party, and my wife hired one, the people that impersonate Michael and do the songs or whatever. It was pretty cool, man. Just Michael is Michael, man. So I hear what you're saying. So as far as the film that you're talking about, where are you at with it? And what are you actually looking for as far as artists, as far as actors and, producers and things of that nature?
Okay, so we're in we're in the beginning stages. But the reason why I say very, because the story is so vast and it's so big. We want to make this a total cinematic independent piece. And we don't want it to be not related to or referred by anything else but just that. So that's what I mean by very, very beginning or very, very intense. We're looking for extreme, as I was saying prior, talents that look like a Gordon Keith, a Barry Gordy, a Jackson 5 when they were little, the older version, Joe Jackson, a Diana Ross, and everyone else that interacted with Mr. Gordon Keith, Ludie Washington, a Ben Brown, a Gordon Keith, a Willie Spencer, a Maurice Rodgers, 5 men of Steel Town Records. So we're putting together now. The whole team and I are putting together now an extensive, like a trial period where we're going to get where we're getting like cast companies, all Black preferred, right? Casting companies, maybe like 2 to 4 of them, They come together with a group, not just take their words saying that they can cast, but putting them through like a test, a probation period for 30 days to seeing, giving them examples of what we want, pertain to the lookalikes, we call it. And if they could do a good job, then pretty much take it from there and get that going. And it will last about 2 months estimated. And September is when we're going to start doing, we plan to start doing the actual trailers. That's going to depict on what I briefly stated earlier about, the Jacksons, and Steeltown and all those little things that happen. So we're going to be doing the trailers to pitch and market and promote it. So, so that'll be in September is when we're going to start the production of the trailers. And we just, extend it from there. It'll take 2 or 3 months to promote it, the trailers and heavy and keep on going. Then that's when we'll do the production. That'll leave into to the beginning of the year, of next year. But we'll start the production of trailers this year. As far as the same time as that, we want to get the soundtrack going, where we're looking for our talented artists that could write material from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, pertaining to the movie From Steeltown to Motown, the series. The option could be either we give the talents different ideas, synopsis or versions of the script, different scenes in the script, or they will write from that and make songs from those time capsules, or those time capsules. Or the talent could either have songs in their category or catalog that matches that. The ones that, if they take the one making a song from scratch, we work a deal out with them when they get like 90% royalties and we get to 10%. If they are, for the ones that's already in the catalog, they just match the songs to our scenes, we get 5%, they get 95% deals of it, stuff like that. And the artist can come and sign to the label as a front for the label for their songs pertaining to this From Steeltown to Motown series soundtrack. And that's what we're working on now. We was able to come across this brilliant guy by this brilliant young lady. He was on, I think it was on the Simon show. He was dressed as a baby. His name was Aaron. Aaron. I can't remember his last name. And he just did a stand ovation. I knew in 5 seconds of hearing him sing, he was definitely one that I wanted to, work with on that songwriting collab. But that's where we're at. That's what we're trying to do. Trying to get that out there. Like that.
Okay, so as far as the casting, as you say, you guys are looking into companies and things like that. So, like, just for an aspiring actor or aspiring, actress or a producer or anything, how would they be able to contact you guys to see if they would be a good fit for the projects that you guys working on?
Okay, yeah. They could reach us at casting@steeltownrecordsinc.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the main where you can send in their portfolios and stuff like that for the actual film project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sound like some interesting stuff, man. Y'all got a lot of stuff going on. I like your team. Y'all built up and everything. Is there anything anybody want to share? On their part, anything about the film, anything about the production side of it?
I would like to say something. Also, we're selling merchandise for Steeltown. We have the T-shirts, the polo shirts, and the hats. So we're working with marketing to get all the social media platforms on board so people can see the content and purchase some of the merchandise.
And I like the polos. The polo's pretty nice. Now I want a black and white one myself.
Okay, yeah. Is that where you could post a picture of that on your thing so people could like briefly see that or there, if possible?
Yeah, but we talked about it, and you said that you didn't want to do it until you guys actually got everything together.
Okay. Yeah. Are you talking about the link? But I was just speaking on just the visual, just to see it, because it's a great polo shirt. It's awesome.
Yeah, and the merchandise it's going to help us to get funding, for the movie, for the project. So we're really trying to push the merch.
Okay, yeah, I didn't want to. I don't want to step outside of my bounds and do something that that you guys probably weren't ready for. But yeah, I can post it on my social media page and try to promote it as much as I can, like me and Kenneth talked about. That's what I'm trying to do on my end. And so I can post it out there. I like the shirts myself. I ain't seen the hats though, Kel. You tell me you had hats, man.
Man, it has sharp, man. It's tight fitting. It's fitting, and it has a logo on front of the record, Still Time. We created a logo too, Still Time from Mr. Keith. Now, this is the funny part, right? Me and Merv was we was getting some of the hats to send off to Dion because she's conducting a photo shoot for our content, and there's all these rows of hats look like it was so compressed, like a pretty look like little ice cream cones. I'm like, Merv, man, these hats. Why are we seeing these hats to Dion when they fit like little baby midgets? They can't fit. So Merv was like, he was looking at me like, he was like, give me the hat, idiot. So I gave him the hat, and he put it on his head. And when he put it on his head, no longer did it look like it was impossible. I'm like, well, I'd be damn, it fits you perfectly. And you got a nice size big head. I have a big head, and so that's when I realized Merv was like, because it's stretchable. It is from the back. You created it. So I was like, okay, wow, that's cool. Yeah. So we got the hats. They're nice fitted. They come in black and white and black. And they could also come in that lambskin leather also. But as time goes by, that's what we'll, push out and stuff like that. Yeah.
So Dion, the question when you talk about the merch, is it going to be like a website, or do you guys have one out already, or are you're going to have one coming out where people can go and purchase these items?
So at this stage right now, we're working on different social media platforms. I believe it's going to be the Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Is that right, Ken?
Yeah.
So we're working on getting the link together. What we're doing also is we're setting up, we have different scheduled photo shoots that we're going to be doing this week. And we're giving it like within 2 weeks, we'll have the content ready. And then we'll send it over to the marketing department to where they'll have everything ready. And then we'll have a link to where they can purchase it.
Okay.
Yeah, we in the beginning of that, getting the content.
Okay. That sounds good. Now, Kel, just repeat this one more time, man, for the people that you're looking for as far as independent artists. You said you want people that can write and produce music that was like in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, you say?
Yeah, what we'll do is give them a scene in the film as well. So, like, there's a scene where Mr. Gordon Keefe goes to Catherine's house after the Jacksons left for Motown, right? And it's a very powerful, emotional, compelling scene. So from that, the way it will be described to the artist or viewed to the artist and through the treatment of synopsis, right? Or, that is what and how they could write from it. From each scene, everything that happens in the scene, like how the Jacksons, let's say, like from how Still Time was built by the 5 men and stuff like that. You can have a scene of a song can be created from that aspect, or just anything that happens in the movie. The artist could write from that if it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, something like that. Because the movie will go back into like the late 40s and stuff like that, and stuff like things of that nature.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, before we leave, Lindy, what you got to add to this, man?
Well, I'm here to do what I can in terms of research. Can I tell you? And I've gone back and tried to do what I could in terms of different books, like Catherine Jackson's book, book on the Jacksons, on Michael Jackson, a biography on Michael Jackson. Sources like that. I've even gone to this book that this guy wrote about the history of Gary, Indiana, which is pretty good. So I want to kind of get an idea of how things were back in the day. One of the things that, Ken will tell you, I've had countless conversations about how I'm a stickler for not just accuracy, but I'm also a stickler for things that are authentic. It's like I shouldn't be watching a film and hearing terminology that's used today, and it's supposed to be a period piece. That irritates me. And then the other thing is that it does. It's like Back in those days, they weren't saying stuff like "it's all good." If it's supposed to be 1965, why am I hearing that term? Come on, man. Or you see certain hairstyles that you see today that they weren't rocking back then. One of the things that I provided or I shared with Ken was you can hear the brothers talking among themselves, and they were just chopping it up. This is back in 1970. Well, I'm from California, and even though I'm not from that community, it takes you back and to that time period. And also, I mean, if you from Gary, if you from Chicago, you from Los Angeles, you from Harlem, you from Oakland, wherever, and if you remember those days, you can relate to that. I mean, you hear them, sitting there chopping it up, and all it is just a bunch of brothers just off the cuff, just shooting the breeze type of thing, and the way they sounded back then is a lot different than how these youngsters sound now. So what I'm saying is, if you got somebody or got folks playing the Jackson 5, they need to study how they sounded in interviews, how they sounded, whether it be radio interviews, TV interviews, similar to how, what's his name? Jamie Foxx did when he was preparing for his role for Ray Charles in the movie Ray, So all of those kind of things are important. And we won't even get into the clothing. Finally, I'll say this, and I've said this before. One of my favorite films is The Five Heartbeats that Robert Townsend did. And it's real authentic. I mean, I shared that movie with an uncle of mine. He's about 80, almost 81 now. And he was in his 20s back in the 60s. Well, and I have another uncle who was a teenager back then. That was, that's the music of his era. So Robert Townsend, he got makeup artists, costume folk, hairstylists, all that kind of stuff. And they looked at old magazines from Ebony and other publications from back in the day to make it authentic. I mean, if anybody's seen the movie, you see the movie was done supposed to cover from 1965 to 1990. So we're talking a 25-year period. And you felt like you were back in time, right? Yeah. So that's how this film,
Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I like the Five Heartbeats, but I would have to say that my favorite was the Temptations. My bad.
The Temptations. And even with that movie, wow. I
love the Temptations movie, man. I'm sorry, man. That was my favorite one. But
and you see, that's when you speak of the Temptations, right? That's the movie was great. You loved it, right? But it's something that you didn't know. Johnny Mae Matthews went after them after the movie was done, and she sued them because they were painting a picture of her, according to her, not how she was. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing with this story here is very crucial and critical to make sure that we tell the story exactly like how it occurred. So that would never happen to us. And the most fascinating thing is we have the rights and the power to go forward with this thing. That's another reason why we really want to do this, because everybody else in the outsiders can't do this, because this is not the biography. Mr. Keith never shared his biography, well, from what we know to them, to that degree. Like we know, like the levels, we talk about from A to Z.
So I want to piggyback real quick on something that Lennon said. So, to make things original and authentic. So since the Jackson 5 was in Gary, do you guys plan on doing any scenes in Gary? Is it going to be based off of things in Gary, or are you doing it somewhere else?
It depends, because let's say, like, for instance, right, we know we can't use the house there because we already know how those things are. Again, when you look at we want to do all these great things for Gary. But like I was saying, I think Gary has to allow that to happen. And looking back politically, the figureheads or whatever back then, they didn't allow it. Mr. Gordon Keefe does, even to this day, don't even have a name of a street named after him. Like I said, his property was destroyed, only on that block where my cousins resided at that block. And their dad, they gave their dad a street on the property where Mr. Keith's house was at. That's the only thing that they destroyed. So to get, that would be lovely to doing it there, right? but it would have to be right. It would have to be allowed, and from the right ways, and things of that nature. We minus the permits, we know how those things go. But yeah, we would want to, it would have to be allowed. And then another thing too, you don't always have to be in a specific place. And that's the beauty of filmmaking. You have the abilities to create things anywhere that looks like there. But sometimes, right, there's nothing wrong with actually having it done at the place where it all originated at. And that's what I really wanted for Steeltown Records. But I think, it was totally destroyed so that we couldn't take it, buy it. Like we bought the other property. We own the other property where Johnny was murdered at in Gary also. So our plan is to slowly turn that into a museum. You know what I'm saying? For the public. But so we were trying to, the same time we did that, we were trying to get Steeltown, but that's where that miraculously thing occurred. And we investigated, and we even have the, like the paperwork, to show that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess this would be my last question for you, Ken. So
I sure hate it as the last, because as more questions you ask me, I'm willing to give you more.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Miss Austin says she got something to do, man. She driving to destination. She can't be still. That's what she told me.
Well, that's fine. She could do that.
Hey, listen, we can always come back, as we move further along.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd be happy to come back on. I did want to say this, too, as well, before I forget. While we're in the process of building our social media platforms with the marketing department, if anybody has any inquiries about any merchandise, they can hit Mr. Kenneth Joseph up via email until we finish getting that part ready. And I guess, Ken, you can give them an email, like once he posts a photo of it and they want to buy something, until we get the platforms ready.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Absolutely. And they could hit me up at, for that at KennethJoseph@gmail.com. Kenneth Joseph at gmail.com. Kenneth Joseph at gmail.com. Okay, so you were saying, thank you for that, Didi. So you were saying the question. Okay, what question you want to ask me?
So since we're talking about Mr. Keith and him finding, being a founder of the Jackson 5, and he managed the Jackson 5, I was reading somewhere that in 2010, that song, Big Boy, You Changed, it was displayed in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, man. How did you feel about that? I'm like what kind of feeling, a joy did you have to see somebody that you knew that actually, created this and made this group who they was, man? How was your feelings about that?
Wow, I think that is very amazing. And that was in 2000. That was a good feeling. If I'm not mistaken, I think Mr. Keith did mention that to me. It was a great feeling when he mentioned that to me. And just to know that this came from him. But sad to say that You Changed also was taken from Mr. Gordon Keith by Motown without Mr. Keith's permission, without signing a mechanical agreement. And he was placed on the actual album for the Jackson 5 coming to Motown as well. But other than that, it was a great feeling. It's just overwhelming to be a part of Mr. Keith. And it was overwhelming, but it's something that I had to learn because I was so strung up into the media at the time. That's how I was looking at the media from that perspective, and I thought that certain things had to be a certain kind of way. But when I met Mr. Gordon Keith, I learned that it wasn't like that. But I also learned that Mr. Keith was an actual icon that was blackballed. But yes, when he told me that was a great feeling. It goes back into the same thing that I compare that to when there's a guy, Linda, you remember this guy, Randy Tabalos? I can never say his name right. He wrote this great book. What's the name? What's the guy's name again, Linda? Randy.
I'm telling you in a minute. It's a big, thick biography that he first wrote in 1991 on Michael. It's called Michael Jackson, the Magic, the Madness, the Whole Story. Randy Borelli, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Yeah,
Randy Borelli. Michael Pass.
Yeah, Randy Terabelli, that guy. So the Hall of Fame thing for the still You've Changed Big Boy felt just as good as when Mr. Keith was. I remember I ran to Mr. Keith's house and I was like, Mr. Keith, look at this book. There's this book. And he was just chuckling with a big heavy bear voice. And I kept wondering, I had all my energy, read all this stuff. I was like, in this book, it sounds like everything that I know. How does this guy know what I know? And Mr. Keith, he started laughing. He was like, that's because the guy interviewed me. And I was like, wow. So it was just, that was part of an amazing time, just as well as the You've Changed, knowing that the You've Changed and Big Boy went on to the Hall of Fame or whatever. It was greatness, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, that's the book that's from 1958 to 2009 that he wrote.
Okay, you see? And he did tremendous research on that. And that's how I knew what he had in that book. It was matching everything Mr. Keith told me. And every other book that we found didn't have all of that. And even Michael wrote something in one of his books. It only had a crumb about Mr. Keith in it, and that was it. But not at that velocity or volume, like the Randy Terabelli, whatever, book, that book. Not like that.
Yeah, that book.
Yeah, that book. You know what I mean? Yeah, Yeah.
So, I thank you guys for coming on. I look forward to you guys sharing stories that was untold, man, and bringing your guy, Mr. Keith, to the forefront and showing how great visionary he was and how he was actually the founder of the Jackson 5. I'm excited for that, man. Look forward to the merch. Like I said, I want one of them black and white polos. I got the picture with Michael Jackson on the front. I need one of those in my life. And so, man, like I say, if you guys, anytime you want to come on, when your projects start in September, man, come on back on, and that's promoted. And let's do, I do whatever I can on my part, man. And keep me and you a holler, man. I don't know why I keep calling you Keith. Keep me and you a holler, man, about the artists and everything, because me and you talked already about that to a certain extent. But I'm glad to meet all you guys, Greg, Merv, Bonita, Miss Dion. You the funny one to me. Now, you know what, Miss Dion, you one of them, you take charge. You a take charge type of person.
Oh, no, I'm just here to help get, things in order. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. I give him all the glory.
Because I know that's not the first time you heard that.
Yeah,
I've heard about Lenny, like man. Thank you for coming on, sharing your insight, man, your wisdom. Mr. Researcher.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all, man. So this has done it for the CJ Moneyway show.
Thank you, fam.
Exclusive interview. Steeltown Records coming back to life, baby, in a theater near you. Hey, peace.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the CJ Moneyway show. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends, leave a comment, and drop a review. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday and Friday for more inspiring journeys. Who knows? Your story might be next. Thank you for listening to the CJ Moneyway show. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends, leave a comment, and drop a review. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday and Friday for more inspiring journeys. Who knows? Your story might be next.